Christina Universe citizens, Conscious Synergetic Thought Process presents Eon Universe, episode 020223 on planet Utopia, paragraphs 44 through paragraph 61. What suppresses consciousness evolution? When the governing system's problem-solving departments are spread out with too many loose ends, it becomes increasingly aberrated, inducing corruptions and dysfunctional behavior. The behavior evidence many other least economical ways a system can behave. Our humanity is observing the dysfunction, economical predicament of malfunctioning governing systems. Illogically assembled departmental governing systems illogically deal with and are controlled by corruption. The economical predicament perpetuates more attempts to solve potentially irresolute conditions. The conditions are made worse when the J factor of the PRJWBCHM, politics, religion, justice, war, belief complexes, hierarchical matrix, grows more powerfully prosecutorial. The corruption deceptively interferes with discovering the source of it that contributes more malfunction. The malfunctioning authority conceals dysfunctions at the highest levels that is made more destructive to the already asymmetrical system when money is permitted to interfere at all levels in the process. The experience in process produces a geometry. The geometry of the dysfunctional government evidences the hierarchy's disproportionate distributions. Distribute and inhibit. We can conceptualize the system referentially to the PRJW factors that can be arranged as 4 spheres. We can label each sphere as the P for politics, the R for religion, the J for justice, and the W for war. The 4 spheres are interrelated by 6 lines to show it is a tetrahedron. The conceptuality in this case is of one tetrahedron that is superficially derived from the human imagination's considerable experiences of the inherited factors, all of which are generated and regenerated as a result from human events. Among human events is the EISEDP, experiences, intuition, speculations, experiments, discoveries, productions. These human events are self-regenerative. The succession is irreversible and non-identically repetitive. Synergetics 502.22. Awareness of this contextual parameter corresponds with our 21st century understanding that experience always comes before thinking, RBF, and when you process your experience, it produces a geometry, RBF. Given the 4 PRJW factors as an inherited contextual parameter, we eventually identify it as the predominantly defensible system. For centuries, the human imagination has adapted to its authority, defending it against any and all offenses. Typically, the human imagination accepts the superficially assembled PRJW factors correlatively to a democratic system. This is so even as the republic for which the people pledged to stand in their allegiance came before what turns out to be a quasi-democracy. Quasi is defined as being partly or almost, which can be interpreted as almost a democracy, but not what the metaphysical generalized conceptual field of systemic thought recognizes that eventually can be designed in principle as true democracy. A republic is defined as a state in which supreme power is held by the people in their elected representatives. Supreme is defined as highest in authority or rank, neither of which is obligated within the PRJW purview or the PRJWBCHM contextual parameter to define a true democracy that by design integrity is of the metaphysical-physical universe. U equal MP. As metaphysical intellect investigates thought, language, word use in some semblance of recognizing the attributes of a true democracy, its consciousness evolution conceptualizes anticipatory design science realities without the otherness imposing self-invalidations from the PRJWBCHM. Cosmic logically, a supreme intellect's intellectual integrity must be vastly greater than the inventions by the human imagination. Supreme intellect is closer associated to the cosmic intelligence which humans for millenniums have accredited to God in every sound word that the local culture everywhere on earth refers to it in writing and speaking. Humans read words. Humans speak words and numbers. The universal communications process expects those articulations, as we observe the reenacting scenarios of events that tend to proselytize. Proselytizing intends and convinces by persuasion. This is so whether it applies to the P factor, the R factor, the J factor, and the W factor. Fortunately, RBF decided doing is better than proselytizing, as in designing the most economical systems referential to universe's coordinate symmetry. So, a true democracy on planet Utopia must be differently conceived than the quasi-democracies in our world that seem to be a grueling experiment that assigned its self-proclaimed power to prosecutorial justice, the J factor. Obviously, those results are not close to the ideals of a true democracy, but more closely resemble a prosecutorial quasi-democracy, which does not initiate its governmental system as regenerating generalized principles. The underlying principles of the eternal designing capability are exemplified by DNA, RNA, the genetic instructions. There are also the always and only coexisting complementarities to integrate into the anticipatory design, such as potential and manifest, or we could say manifest and potential. So, as we anticipate designing systems for planet Utopia, including a true democracy, we can ask many different questions regarding how to form a more perfect union, one of which is, if energy is essential to power the ship of state, do the PRJW factors officially operate the system as its engineers, the officers on board, admirals in their lofty quarters, the officials who advise the head of state? What about Spaceship Earth? Isn't it When everyone is on board, whether we like it or dislike, trust or distrust the manifest forms governments in our world have taken. Furthermore, when is any system not a triangle at its earliest stage of existence? Is a subatomic particle not a triangle? When are any or all of the 92 self-regenerative chemical elements not a triangle? The triangle is a polygon. It has 3 lines as edges. When opened, the 3 lines can appear as 1 line of any imaginable length and curve a wave of linearity. When the 3 lines are closed, a triangular face shows both an obverse and a reverse. Obverse is supposedly the opposite or counterpart of a fact or truth. Reverse works in a contrary direction. So a reversible geodesic model, as the vector equilibrium is, ought to be central to designing a true democracy as we project cosmic intellect toward planet Utopia. Synergetics, figure 108.01, figure 511.10, figure 935.23. As we become more curious about a minimum thinkable set, which is a conceptuality of the minimum structural system of universe, it is easy to disregard curiosity itself as an experience. Logically, awareness of experience, always coming before thinking, and yet thought begins as 2 spheres come together, then humans and our development of sets derived from experience. None of this, and all of which, is neither instantly nor simultaneously reviewable. Certainly, awareness of sets is not pertinent to the inherited punitory democracy, primarily because all that legal education suffered upon the people is differently targeted by excluding generalized conceptioning and the too easily dismissible conceptuality of the minimum structural system of universe, which also represents 1 quantum of energy. This is a list of sets to consider from RBF Synergetics Dictionary. Central set, circumferential set, closed set, comprehensive set, conceptual set, considerable set, empty set, future set, filled set, local set, loose set, minimum regenerative set, net set, non-simultaneous set, now set, nuclear set, recall set, relevant, lucidly relevant set, positive or negative set of the whole, WHOLE, subset, thinkable set, intertransformability system sets. Now, we can omnirationally consider where, when, whose thought comes to one's own mind. Is it not a systemic thought, referential to the geometry of thinking, topology and geometry of the minimum quantity of energy? What is it in principle? Is it an atom? Whatever it is can be conceptualized as a sphere with 2 spheres at minimum in mind as thought begins. Was it millenniums ago that human innovation contrived its governing authority by imagining the P factor, the R factor, the J factor, the W factor, or did their survival depend on a supersized ego, a narcissistic self-empowerment of such imaginable overwhelming power that compelled the people to conform to the rule by putting it in charge of their fear-engendered superficial trust? Was everyone controlled by the as yet not accurately defined discordant personality? Was it then and therein the survival predicament that the dissatisfaction arose time and time again to be suppressed by the power in charge as the J factor enlisted alliances with the R factor? Is this not what is in a predomination to extremes in the Middle East, which is said to be the cradle of civilization, but is also the womb of permitted ignorance? Is this not the similar survival predicament of the reenacting articulations today? See link. Iran imprisons dancers. Our humanity's survival predicament always requires energy solutions. This is so whether we are consciously aware of hydrogen, oxygen, H2O, which is water, and all the chemical elements that comprise life-sustaining, life support. It is the differentiation between life and death, energy from the stars, energy from the sun. Surprisingly, though, most recently we learned of the fungi that grew on Earth's surface millions of years ago that does not require photosynthesis to reproduce itself. So energy in various forms is essential, and consciousness of it ought to come before forming any governing system. Since we coexist in our lifetime, this has been within established forms of government, then what is the best we can expect from this inherited predicament? Is it to clarify the conceptual parameter as we educate us, while the PRJWBCHM contextual parameter continues to ignore an omnirational, coherently equanimous cosmic matrix of a cosmic hierarchy's operational field complex? Planet Utopia is our experimental environment for manifesting a true democracy, compared to the quasi-democracies in our world and grossly asymmetrical, inaccurate attempts at emulating the manifest systems. The eternal integrity of a cosmic matrix is the logical choice to supplant those malfunctions with the self-regenerative integrity of omnidirectional, omnirational universe. Let us not forget to integrate awareness of the behavioral patterns in universes always and only coexisting complementarities that physics has found. We cannot have one phenomenon complemented by less than one other phenomenon, so I include here some complementarities listed in RBF Synergetics Dictionary. Distribute and inhibit, function and function, focal, push-pulling, and omnidirectional, gearing, in parentheses, ovational, and rotational, internal and external, interferences and synchronization, irrelevance and geodesics, local and cosmic, metaphysical and physical, manifest and potential, sundering and cohesion, star tetrahedron and vector equilibrium, zero and system, zero and heat. Synergetic links are included here. Reference RBF, Arbor-Minster Forum. Synergetics, table of contents. Synergetics 100.012. Synergetics figure 108.01. Synergetics 162. Synergetics 326 through 326.50. Metaphysical and physical summary. Synergetics 400.66. Basic motions and degrees of freedom. Synergetics 430.05. Synergetic 443, vector equilibrium as equanimity model. Synergetics 445, frequency of vector equilibrium. Synergetics 501.101. Synergetics 502.22. Synergetic figure 511.10. Synergetics figure 935.23. Iran imprisons couple shown dancing at Tehran's Freedom Tower in viral video. NBC News. Music, Michael Ryder. In My Head stereo mix from drumsondemand.com. Contact Planet Utopia at gmail.com.